Warning, the following video contains spoilers for the movie in question. So if you haven't seen the movie and you care about that sort of thing, then get the fuck out! So after The Shape of Water had had a wide release for a couple of weeks and everyone and their mother hyped it up to high heaven, I finally went and saw it, and man was I disappointed because I found out that it was basically Free Willy for adults. Or you could also see it as what you would get in the search results if you typed in fish person into the Rule 34 search engine. Okay, it's not that explicit, but still. The plot is very worn out, dull, and uninteresting, and that's what really disappointed me about it. I was really hoping Del Toro would deliver a different kind of story, but he didn't really, at least not in the main story, but we'll get into the more interesting side stories a little bit later. The main story was just riddled with cliches. It was predictable. For example, when you go out of your way to show that your main character has gill-like scars on the sides of her neck, it's no wonder what you're going to do with them at the end of the movie. It leaves nothing to the imagination. You know exactly how that's going to play into the movie. Especially when you're involving things like superpowered fish people. There's really no surprise when he turns those scars into gills. It has a lot of the same plot points as Free Willy, as well as other cliches, like, you know, the scene where she goes in and sees him being tortured, and oh no, an egg falls out of the bag and she does not realize it. Or in the same scene where the general turns around and he's like, "Oh, you see these stars? Yeah, I make the rules around here, buddy." Just that kind of stuff really made me roll my eyes, and I really expected more from Del Toro. Now, as far as what made the movie different in terms of plot, these side stories were far more interesting than the main story. But unfortunately, the movie doesn't take time out to fully develop some of its side stories, and instead uses that time to explain the mechanics of the fishman's penis. The storyline with the Soviet spy, Dr. Robert, was just suddenly cut off. There's really no rhyme or reason given to why the Russians suddenly turned on him and killed him. Sure, you can infer things, but there's nothing super concrete that you can get from the actual events of the movie. By far, the most interesting part of the movie was Michael Shannon's character and the subplot revolving around him. In fact, the entire movie would be more interesting if it was from his perspective. Mainly because he's the only character with any depth or any sort of character arc. Most of the characters in this movie are just static. They do not change. The only character you could say goes through anything comparable to a character arc is the character of Giles, because he learns to accept the main character's romance with the fishman by relating it to his own desires. But that's not really a character arc. That doesn't change his character in the slightest. He's still the same character at the end of the movie as he was at the beginning. The only thing that changed was his mind about, you know, another character. Michael Shannon is the only character who had enough depth to go through any kind of change. And if I were to rewatch it again, it would be for Michael Shannon's character. However, I don't know if I'll ever rewatch this, and I'm just going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room here. The crossbreed human and fish person sex was disgusting. Sure, it wasn't explicit and it didn't actually show it, but the thought of it in itself and the fact that it heavily implied that they did it, well, explicitly said that they did it, was disgusting. Maybe I'm just a cold-hearted son of a bitch, but the fact that Del Toro took their relationship to a sexual level, I just found it utterly disgusting, and I couldn't find any justification for it despite the many sweet moments that the fish person and the main character shared. Really, it didn't even feel necessary. It felt as if Del Toro was just getting his rocks off to it, like he had some sort of fish fetish. And they could have showed the closeness of the two characters in a different way other than just, oh, we'll make them have sex, because that's what people do when they're close to each other, right? Right? They really could have gone a smarter route with it instead of just falling back on sex. Because not only does it make the movie a bit revolting, but it is also a little lazy, especially when you're dealing with the concepts that this movie is dealing with. And the movie doesn't go very deep into those concepts either. Concepts like the complexity of communication, what makes something human or what makes us humanize something. And it never uses its primary relationship to really examine the nature of love, desire, or companionship. You can infer things from this movie, but nothing about any of those ideas are really dug up in the movie. Nothing of any real substance is said about any of these ideas. They're just presented and then thrown away as if they're not even really important to the plot. The movie isn't all bad. There were, of course, parts of it that I liked. I mean, I already mentioned Michael Shannon's character, but the music was also really good. I really enjoyed it. Of course, it looks great, and the acting was fantastic. Gotta give props to the main actress. She did awesome, as well as Michael Shannon and all the rest of the cast. But the story and the characters of this movie were so disappointing that I probably wouldn't rewatch this anytime soon. The Shape of Water is not that great. It's not as good as people are saying it is. In fact, it's overrated. I'm Randall the Vandal. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, thanks for watching my first ever video. Sorry if it's a little rough around the edges, however I hope you were at least mildly entertained. And please tell me what you think of this movie in the comments. Of course, I'm not bashing anybody in this video who likes the movie, but this is just my take on it. If there's something that I missed, please let me know down in the comments. And my friend Dogface Banana Patch wanted me to give him a shout out, but I'm not going to do that because he's an egotistical son of a bitch who doesn't even have a YouTube channel. I mean, come on, why would you give a shout out to somebody like that? But anyways, thanks again for watching. Leave a comment if you wanted to start a discussion, and I'll see you next time.